I still remember when he called me paranoid. And then a week later, I found her earring under our bed. My name is Caitlin. I'm 29 years old. I live in Austin, Texas, and up until recently I thought I had a pretty perfect life. Pretty perfect because there was always this low hum of discomfort, like an itch under my skin I couldn't quite reach. But when you've been in a relationship for over 5 years, you learn to ignore those little things. You think, everyone has this. This is normal. I met Alex at a coffee shop shortly after I moved to Austin. I was working remotely, writing web content for a startup, and he was sitting at the table next to mine, sketching something in a notebook, eating a croissant like it was the last one on earth. He looked up, caught my eye, and said, "This coffee only tastes better when someone beautiful's sitting nearby." Cheesy? Absolutely. But I smiled. And somehow, I stayed the whole day. Then the next 5 years. Alex is an architect. One of those poetic types who talks about buildings like they're people. This one breathes light. He'd say about some old church or a new design, and somehow you believed him. He often worked late. I worked from home. Our schedules didn't always match, but when we did connect, it felt right. On weekends, we'd go on road trips to small Texas towns, eat tacos from food trucks, blast country music from a crackly old speaker, and kiss like we were still in high school. I thought he was my forever. Things started to shift about a year ago. He began coming home later, skipped dinner more often, said he was tired, said work was crazy. That face, the one that used to light up when he saw me, started looking distant, tired, distracted. I told myself not to worry. He's just busy, I thought. Don't be that girl. But that itch under my skin, it was getting louder. Then one day the cat threw up on the sheets, super glamorous, and I went to change the bedding. That's when I found it. A small gold earring tucked between the slats of our bed frame, under the mattress. It wasn't mine. I only wear silver. Always have. You know, in movies when the girl finds something like that and starts screaming or sobbing. That wasn't me. I just sat there on the floor, holding it in my palm like it was radioactive. It shimmered in the light, small and smug and so obviously not mine. And the whole world went quiet. When Alex got home that night, I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I just held up the earring. He froze. Then he laughed. He said, "Kate, you're being paranoid. That's probably from the last tenant. Or maybe one of our friends dropped it. Remember that dinner with Jess and Mike?" Yeah, I remembered. From 3 months ago. And the earring looked fresh, clean, recently worn. Not like something lost for weeks under a bed. But I let it go. Or at least I tried to. After that, though, I started noticing everything. A new shirt I'd never seen before. A faint perfume that wasn't mine. His phone, which was never locked before, now suddenly had a passcode. He kept it face down. Always. I started writing things down. Not out of obsession, but self-preservation. I logged when he left, when he came home, what he said. It felt like I wasn't in a relationship anymore. I was in an investigation. A private eye with a broken heart. He began going on more weekend work trips. Said they were client-related, last minute, nothing exciting. And then one Saturday, he left in a rush and forgot his charger. I decided to bring it to him. Not to spy. Just to be helpful, right? I drove across town to his studio. He said he'd be in a meeting all day. But when I pulled up, I saw him through the window. He was standing with a woman. Tall brunette, wearing a red skirt. His arms were around her waist. Her head rested on his chest. He stroked her back the way he used to stroke mine when he thought I was asleep. I didn't go in. I didn't confront him. I just stood there. And then I left. I didn't go in. I didn't confront him. I just stood there. And then I left. I drove around for hours after that. No music. No destination. Just me, the sound of my blinker ticking at random intersections, and the lump in my throat that refused to go away. I kept thinking I'd cry, you know, the kind of ugly soul-purging sob you see in movies. But I didn't. I just felt numb. Like I was floating above my own life, watching someone else's heartbreak unfold. By the time I got home, it was dark. I sat in my car in the driveway staring at the porch light. The same porch light we used to leave on for each other. The same one I used to see from down the street and feel safe. Now, it just felt like a spotlight on my own stupidity. I didn't sleep that night. Just laid there staring at the ceiling, going over every moment from the past year. All the missed calls, the work trips, the forgotten anniversaries, the cold kisses, the silence. And then I realized something. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want to scream or destroy anything. I just wanted out, but not without answers. So the next morning I started planning. I didn't tell him what I saw. Not yet. Instead I played it cool. Asked how the client meeting went. He said it was fine. Long boring. Architect stuff, babe, you wouldn't care. I smiled. Nodded. Told him I was thinking of visiting my sister in Denver for a weekend. Girl time, I said. He said, sounds good. Let me know the dates. I already knew the dates. I wasn't going to Denver. I took a few days off work and started doing my own quiet digging. Nothing crazy. Just enough. I remembered the woman in the red skirt. The way she leaned into him like they'd done that 100 times before. So comfortable. So practiced. I checked his work calendar. He'd left it open once on his laptop. There it was. A recurring lunch appointment with someone named B. I went through our shared credit card statement. He never thought to check if I still got the monthly breakdowns. There were charges from a small boutique hotel on the east side. Twice in the last month. Lunches at a bistro we'd never been to together. Jewelry. A necklace from a store I used to love but hadn't visited in years. The pieces were all there. And yet, even with all the proof stacking up, I still felt conflicted. Isn't that crazy? You catch someone betraying you, and your first instinct isn't rage. It's grief. Like mourning the death of something that hadn't even fully died yet. I wanted to believe there was some explanation. That maybe it was nothing. Maybe he was just confused. Maybe it was emotional, not physical. But deep down, I knew. The worst part? He still looked at me like nothing had changed. He kissed me goodbye in the mornings. Asked what I wanted for dinner. Brought home flowers once, my favorites, peonies, and said he just felt like it. It made my skin crawl. So I decided to test him. One evening, I asked him to tell me about his day. Just casually like old times. He stumbled. Said he was in back-to-back meetings. I asked who with. He gave me names I recognized from his firm's safe names. Then I said, "Did you see Becca today?" Just a soft little question like it slipped out. He froze for just half a second. Blinked. Then said, "Who?" I smiled. "Never mind." And right then I knew her name. Becca. B. It all started to make sense, how he guarded his phone, why he suddenly cared about cologne again, why he stopped laughing at my dumb jokes, the ones he used to repeat to his friends. He wasn't mine anymore. And maybe he hadn't been for a long time. The next weekend, while he was out getting groceries, I packed a small suitcase. Not everything. Just the things I loved, my journals, my favorite hoodie, the photo of me and my mom from when I was 7. I left the house and drove to a hotel across town. I didn't leave a note. I didn't block his number. I just disappeared temporarily. That night, I turned my phone on silent, climbed into crisp white sheets, and let myself cry for the first time. Not just a tear or two. A full-body cry. For the girl I used to be. For the woman I was becoming. The next morning, I woke up in that hotel room with sunlight pouring through the windows and this strange sensation in my chest. Like I'd finally exhaled after holding my breath for months. It didn't mean the pain was gone. Not at all. But I wasn't stuck anymore. And that, honestly, felt like a miracle. I checked my phone. 5 missed calls. 3 texts. All from Alex. Alex. Hey, where are you? Alex. Did you go to Denver early? Alex. Kate, seriously, call me. I didn't. Instead, I got dressed, walked to a nearby cafe, and ordered pancakes and coffee like it was any other Saturday morning. Like I wasn't living in the aftermath of my own heartbreak. Halfway through breakfast, he called again. I stared at the screen, watching his name flash like an alarm. I almost answered. But then I remembered the earring, the perfume, the red skirt. I let it ring. That day, I made a plan. Not out of revenge, but for clarity. I needed closure. I needed to look him in the eye and tell him I knew. Not because I wanted an apology, but because I deserved to speak the truth out loud. So I went home later that night, quietly, knowing he was out with friends. I sat on the couch in the dark, waiting. When he walked in, he jumped. Jesus, Kate. You scared me. I didn't say anything right away. Just looked at him. really looked. He was still the man I fell in love with. Same tired green eyes, same little freckle under his left ear. But now I could see through it all. The excuses, the charm, the perfectly constructed lies. He asked me where I'd been. I told him I needed space. He started with the usual. You've been distant lately. I thought you were pulling away. Work has been crazy. And then he said it. I made a mistake. That's when I knew. He wasn't going to lie anymore. Not because he respected me, but because he knew the game was over. A mistake, I repeated. He nodded, rubbing his temples. It didn't mean anything. That's the line they always use, isn't it? It didn't mean anything. Like that's supposed to soften the betrayal. Like the absence of love makes the cheating somehow less painful. I told him I knew about Becca. His face went pale. He sat down like the weight of it all had finally landed on his shoulders. And then he asked the question I'll never forget. Can we fix this? Fix. As if we were a leaky faucet. As if trust was something you could just patch up with duct tape and therapy. I looked at him, really looked, and realized I didn't hate him. Not even a little. But I wasn't in love with him anymore either. There was nothing left to fix. Only something to walk away from. I told him I was moving out. That I didn't want drama. I didn't want to hurt him. I just needed to start over. For me. He cried. For real. Not performative. Not manipulative. Just raw. And for a second, that part of me, the part that had loved him for 5 years, wanted to hold him. But I didn't. Because love without respect isn't love at all. The next few days were a blur of packing boxes, canceling joint accounts, dividing furniture. It felt like closing down a small business. Cold. Logistical. Exhausting. But somewhere in that chaos I started feeling stronger. Lighter. Freer. One afternoon I found a note he'd written me years ago, tucked inside a book on our old shelf. It said, I love the way you see the world. You make the ordinary feel beautiful. I stared at it for a long time, then folded it up and threw it away. Because I still see the world that way. He just stopped being a part of it. It's been 3 months since I left Alex. 3 months since I packed my life into the back of my sister's car and moved into a small sunlit apartment on the second floor of an old brick building in East Austin. The place creaks when I walk. The windows rattle when it rains. And the water pressure in the shower is laughable. But it's mine. All mine. And for the first time in years I can breathe. Some mornings I still wake up half expecting to hear Alex in the kitchen, making his too strong coffee, humming off key. There's a strange kind of muscle memory in grief. Your body remembers what your mind is trying to forget. But those mornings are becoming less frequent. And when they do come, I let them. I let the sadness wash over me like a wave, and then I let it go. Healing isn't linear. I used to think it would be that I'd move out, cut him off, cry for a week, and then boom, freedom. Confidence. Closure. But no. Healing is weird. Messy. Some days I feel like I'm flying. Other days I hear a song we used to dance to in the kitchen, and I break down in the grocery store next to the peanut butter aisle. True story. But I keep going. I started journaling again. Long rambling entries that make no sense to anyone but me. I joined a yoga class. Not for the poses, half the time I look like a confused flamingo, but for the silence. The stillness. The space to just be. I even went on a date. Yeah, a real date. His name was Marcus. We met at the bookstore down the street. He was holding the same novel I was reaching for. A total rom-com cliché. And we laughed and ended up talking for 2 hours in the aisle, both of us sitting cross-legged on the floor like teenagers. It wasn't fireworks or fate, but it was nice. We went for tacos, talked about favorite movies, shared stories about awful exes. He kissed my cheek at the end of the night and told me I was easy to talk to. I haven't seen him again since. Not because I didn't want to, but because I realized I'm not quite ready. And that's okay. I'm not in a rush to fill the empty space Alex left. In fact, I've started to enjoy the quiet. I light candles at night. I play sad indie music while I fold laundry. I talk to myself out loud when I cook. It's weird, but it feels good. People ask me if I hate him. I don't. I think hate is heavy. Takes up too much room. I'd rather use that space for something better, like rediscovering who I am without him. Because for so long I was half of a we. And now I'm learning to be a me again. The truth is, I still don't know everything about what happened, how long it lasted, what he told her, if he loved her, and I don't care. Because closure didn't come from him, came from me choosing myself, from walking away without screaming, from taking my dignity with me instead of leaving it behind on the floor between lies and broken trust. I've realized something simple but huge. You can love someone deeply and still leave them. You can miss what you had and still know you deserve better. You can grieve and grow at the same time. A few days ago I ran into Alex. Total accident, at the farmer's market of all places. He was alone. He looked smaller somehow. Tired. Like he hadn't been sleeping well. We said hi. Awkward, polite. He asked how I was. I said, better. He nodded. Told me he was sorry. That he never meant to hurt me. And for the first time I believed him. But I also didn't need to hear it anymore. I told him I forgave him, not for him but for me. And then I walked away. I didn't look back. Now, as I sit on my little balcony with a cheap glass of red wine and the hum of traffic below me, I think about that girl I used to be. The one who doubted her instincts, who waited for love to come back when it was already gone, who made herself small to keep the peace. And I want to hug her. Tell her she's stronger than she knows. That what feels like the end is often just the beginning. Because here's the truth no one tells you. Sometimes the most beautiful love story is the one you write with yourself. And I'm just getting started.